Hola, hola. Ay. Hello, everyone. It's great to be here, full house. I'm so excited, a little bit nervous, why not, as well. But really excited to share with you this about this panel. We're going to share insights about the present and the future of Latin America, so really relevant for all of us. And the reason why I'm so thrilled is because I have great people and human beings and professionals as panelists who are here with me. First, I will present myself. I'm Agustin Rotondo. I'm head of CMI Ventures. CMI Ventures is the corporate VC and the corporate venturing arm of, CMI. For those who doesn't know CMI, it's a multi-business family-owned company with operations all across Central America, also operations in other regions, and in the US, with relevant businesses in the food industry, energy industry, financial industry, and other businesses as well. So great to be here with you guys. I will introduce each of you, and the bio was really, really long, so I asked ChatGPT to reduce it a little bit, so I will try to honor what you guys do. First of all, Gerardo Bonilla. Gerardo is the managing partner of McKinsey in Guatemala, with more than 18 years of consulting experience across Latin America. Gerardo has led over 100 projects in corporate strategy, digital and organizational transformation, and holds an MBA from Kellogg. Gerardo, welcome to this panel.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So next, Irene Asturias, who leads IDC Advisory with 3 decades of experience in the financial sector. She specializes in M&A, valuations, and financial structuring across multiple industries. Irene previously held senior roles at CMI, so she's part of the family, and JP Morgan in New York, and earned an MBA from INCAE. Thank you, Irene. Welcome here to this panel. Then joining us as well, Juan de Dios Aguilar, founder of Invercorp International. He's a multi-asset investor focused on venture capital, private equity, and family office strategies, building investment platforms to grow and preserve wealth across generations. Thank you for being here, Juan de Dios. Welcome to this panel. And last but not least, Ricardo Pero, founder and CEO of Sellers Fi. He is our founder. He will give us the vision from the founder side. A global fintech empowering e-commerce businesses with tailored working capital solutions. Ricardo brings more than 25 years experience in finance with leadership roles at JP Morgan and Citigroup, and MBA from Columbia Business School. Thank you, Ricardo, for being here as well.
Thank you.
So as you can see, we have great professionals and human beings here who will share with us their points of view about the future and the present of the region. So that's why I'm so excited about this panel. So starting with you, Gerardo, and we know McKinsey advises lots of companies and major companies across Latin America. So from your experience of working here in the region, why has the region struggled to deliver stronger growth over the last 2 decades?
Thank you, Agustin. And first of all, amazing to be with a great group here. Thank you very much. Definitely, growth is an urgent topic for Latin America. What we have seen in the past 2 decades is that while the global population has grown around 3%, Latin America has grown only 2.5%. If you think about the last 10 years, the growth of Latin America has been just 1.2%, compared to the global growth of 2.7%. While other emerging economies as Turkey, Poland, Egypt, for example, they are growing around 4 or 5%. So if we think about the total population that Latin America represents in the world, it's around 8% of the total global population, but we don't have our fair share in GDP. We only represent 6% of the GDP. So it's an urgent topic. So why are we there? First, there are 4 topics, basically, that has brought us there, right? First, there has been an aging population. So right now, the GDP growth has been fueled in 2/3 by more people entering the economy to work. So it's not really a productivity increase, it's more people working, but when the population is aging, less people is going to the workforce, and therefore productivity is not growing as fast as, GDP is not growing as fast as we would like, right? Second, on GDP growth, we have been declining on GDP growth. So we're not growing in GDP. If we see the past 25 years of productivity, the world has multiplied its productivity by 7. In our case, our productivity has increased only 0.6%. So that has done that our productivity growth is not fueling our growth. Then we have lower level of investments and savings. There's not a lot of strong investments in the region. And the savings, for example, in Latin America represent only 18% of the total GDP. That's one of the lowest levels in the world. And finally, this low part of investments that are coming to the region, they are not really sophisticated. So a lot of the investments are coming to low complexity industries, and therefore we don't have the benefit of the multiplier of productivity from these investments, right? So that's the main reason, the main reasons why the productivity hasn't grown so far.
So it's not only a matter of how much investment, but also where is that investment going?
Exactly.
Really interesting. So, Irene, given your background and of structuring major corporate transformations and financing strategies across the region, what do you see as the key risks of Latin America if we don't act now?
Yeah. Hello? Yeah, is it working?
No.
No?
I think.
Okay. I think what Gerardo was saying is right on point, because what the biggest risk I think right now is lost momentum. And what I mean by that is that Latin America currently is facing a structural competitiveness gap. If it's not investing in infrastructure and energy platforms that are basically the backbone of growth, and to capture growth in the next demographic boom, we need to invest in these two aspects, because we're falling behind in major ways. I mean, if we look at recent data, I was looking at a study from IDB. Certain parts of Latin America is investing less than half of what there should be in GDP and in core infrastructure and energy, water, the basics, right? In essence, it's $1 trillion less each year. So we're falling behind $1 trillion each year in infrastructure and energy platforms. So we're not going to be ready for growth. And certain parts of Latin America, and in what you were saying, Latin America as a whole, but I would dissect Latin America in two, right? The northern parts and the southern parts. The northern parts have a huge, huge opportunity. And if we don't capitalize this now, we're going to miss the train, right? Like we missed like 2 decades ago. So we need to be ready and be more strategic in investing in the right platforms. And also, policy uncertainty is crucial for this to happen, right? There's bottlenecks, there's outages, logistics, I mean the ports, you name it, right? Like this, it needs to be figured out before growth. So for me, this is the key risk that we need to act now. And basically, we need to prioritize these and be strategic and plan ahead as you plan a house, right? You need to plan ahead for the future. You need to plan for your kids to be 2, to be 15, and then to go to college. That's how you plan for growth here.
Amen. Thank you very much for sharing, Irene. So now moving to the opportunities of the sector, and Juan, I would like your take on this. As a multi-asset investor across different strategies and mechanisms, VC, family office credit, which sectors do you see as the biggest growth engines of the region in the future?
Thank you. I was. Can you hear me?
I think we're having some mic.
Thank you. I was, first of all, as Gerardo said, it's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be at the Volcano Summit, and having this great crowd is just awesome. Great question, and thank you. And I'm going to be a little bit more bullish than Irene and Gerardo, because, of course, I'm already super long the region, and so I have to find ways to exponentiate the region. And so I see three shifts that are really important right now happening. One is how Latin America is becoming an ally for the corridor of logistics and the way you transport things from Latin America into the rest of the world. And I see various opportunities in manufacturing. I see various opportunities in, logistics. For example, warehousing is becoming really important, and also in agri-tech. And I think later on, if you have the chance to hear Alan Safier from Unispice, that's a clear example of how agri-tech is turning into something really important for the region. They are the largest exporters in the world of green beans, and combining data with technology, they become such an important company. We've invested in door companies that manufacture plywood doors, exporting to the region, and also panel in electrical panels. So those opportunities are really good. The second opportunity that I see really good is how capital has become, capital in the mid-market sector has become a really strong gap, because the mid-market sector in the region is underbanked, they're family run, and I think they're still very informal. But there are huge opportunities there if you can structure private equity deals, venture capital deals, or even just plain equity. It's really, really important. And the third I see as an important sector is infrastructure. And I think, Irene, you've had a lot of experience with that, but we need new airports, we need new ports, we need new highways. And if we can combine, the public sector with family office capital, and we can combine, creative financial engineering and structuring, those opportunities are going to be really, really important for the region.
Thank you very much for sharing. So you mentioned logistics, agro-food tech. You mentioned also the private capital industry, and the last one was
manufacturing and the mid-market sector.
And,
I think the mid-market sector is a great engine for growth in the
Amazing.
region.
Thank you very much for sharing. And now, moving to you, Ricardo. Well, you built a company from scratch, being Brazilian, being Latin American, and then moving to the United States and building the company there and scaling there in mature markets. So I would love your take on your perspective on what strategic opportunities are underexploited in the region from your perspective. Yeah.
So when I think I'm going to be biased. We were talking about being bullish, not being bullish. Like if you ask all founders here, there's no such a thing as a bearish founder. We are always optimistic. We are always looking for opportunities to grow. LATAM, I think that our biggest asset. Let's see.
Yeah, let's change.
So we all learn. When I live half of my life in the US, half of my life in Brazil. I think that we founders, financial professionals from the region, we all have one tremendous asset, which is learn from the struggles of the instability that we face in our home markets, right? And when I took that drive and the experience that I had working for big financial institutions in Brazil, in the US, that was, for me, the biggest asset that I had when I built that business. And when you look at opportunities, either to explore and expand your business in the region, or take what you learn and explore bigger markets, I think this is the biggest asset that we have, that culture of overcoming the difficulties and challenges that our region presents us. This is one, and then when you look at from a financial perspective, I think there are obvious opportunities, like we still have a huge part of the population completely underbanked. Small business are completely not included in the bulk of financial offering from the incumbents, the banks, the traditional financial institutions. We have in the region a mindset completely different from what we see in the US in terms of digital assets. I mean, we are, I think, ahead of the US in terms of financial regulation on digital assets. We are ahead of the US in terms of the adoption of open banking in Brazil, for example. So those are things that we can be proud of, right? And explore and grow into this. And I would say last but not least, I think there is a huge opportunity now created by the noise imposed by the US government on the tariff situation. There will be a shift in the flow of funds and flow of capital. And there will be an amazing opportunity to partner with companies from other countries, because we are always looking for the nearest opportunity. Like, how can I make I was like this, how can I make my business work in the US? Nowadays, I have investors from Asia, from Europe, with a completely different mindset. And that having that global approach is something that the timing is now to capture and to capitalize this. Like what you're saying, the momentum is now.
Exactly.
And having that changing mindset, trying to build that bridge with other markets, with other source of capital, I think this is key.
Thank you for sharing. And you mentioned some aspects in which we are ahead of the US. That's not very common and frequent to hear, so we should take that as an advantage and build on that. Thank you. So, Irene, building on these opportunities, I would like your take on how do you see the investment landscape when it comes to local versus regionally, and for the different asset classes as well?
Okay. Definitely, there's good news here, I think. We've been looking at markets maturing, activity in countries where there was none before. There's capital markets in northern parts of Central America where there was basically nothing. So, I mean, I think there's really good news in these terms. But to be more specific, and to accompany here, Juan de Dios was saying, on the venture capital space, definitely there's slower growth after the post-pandemic years, but I feel that either fintech and marketplaces are really robust. I mean, Ricardo can actually relate. And there are fundamentals there. Valuations are continuing to go up every round. So we're feeling very strong in that aspects. There are interesting takes on impact funds, right? And these are creating new opportunities in the venture capital space that are going to bring new options and new ways of looking at things and solving problems like deep in the economy. So I feel like this space is driving very much the growth. On the corporate side, we're looking at mid-markets accessing new markets, shifting from local banks or commercial banks to the public markets, and bringing liquidity and depth into the markets. So that's basically sophisticating countries that weren't actually sophisticated before, and bringing more capital, injecting more capital. And on the domestic side, more sophistication, more cross-border M&A, strategic investments. And even we're seeing countries invest otherwise in first economies like United States, etc. So we're looking at a more robust domestic capital. And however, we're looking at valuations, obviously referencing international valuations. That hasn't changed for big deals. It remains to be the benchmark, right? And lastly, I would want to emphasize in the private equity space, which is what you were saying, Juan de Dios, private equity brings together every part of the ecosystem, right? It creates innovative structures that can enable big-scale projects to take over and democratize capital, access to people that never had access to investments. And to be more specific, I want to share an example that is close to my heart. We worked in this project. We've been building Sochi, a private road here in the southern part of Guatemala. It's a private equity infrastructure fund where Sochi is the main asset. It's created to basically unclog one of the main roads here in Guatemala, where I would say more of the 60% of the GDP is going through in a road that goes just two ways. It's completely collapsed. And this opportunity is created to basically increase productivity and cut the time from 3 hours, 4 hours to half an hour in this 30 kilometers space. This is a huge project, and these projects can make it happen if you structure it from both ends. And what I mean by this is on the project finance side and from the investor side. From the project finance side, we coincide with multilateral banks, commercial banks that bring together the specific actual KPIs, impact-driven, and making sustainable projects, making sure it's a sustainable project. And on the private equity side, we bring on limited investors and private investors so that they can give their land or they can invest directly. And lastly, a specific vehicle that went out to the market and gave investors access to infrastructure projects that never had been. And what I mean by this is that we designed specifically a smaller ticket so that the investors can access a project like this, specifically around the area where the project is being built. And to our surprise, it was completely oversubscribed. And more than 60% of the investors are women. And there you see that you can make true impact and true projects. So this really proves a point, right? We can do projects, and the region doesn't only need money. It needs innovative structures that can democratize capital and incorporate everybody into the ecosystem.
I love that. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and delivering not also returns, but impact. That's the magic of our business. Thank you very much. And moving to you, Juan, from the family offices and corporations perspective, which role can you play as these organizations to unlock the potential beyond capital, not just with capital, but also with networks and scale?
Thank you, Agus. Yes, I think that family offices play a pivotal role here in the region. You know, they're local. They know the playgrounds. They know, you know, the social risks. They know the political risks. They know the legal risks, and so they have to work as anchors and as an example that they're investing in the region, so that the rest of the people and the big players look at the region and say, "Oh, I have somebody that I can piggyback with." You know, so family offices should also start thinking not in terms of fixed income or short term. I think their mentality has to start thinking towards the longer term. You know, how do we compound capital? How do we allocate capital? And you know, that's how you generate real wealth. You know, over time. You know, and I think family offices have that have that essence. You know, I think the other factor is that. Again, family offices and maybe corporates, they should also rethink their strategic asset allocation. If we look at the rest of the world, endowments, family offices, you know, they're investing 20, 25, 30% of their assets in venture capital and private equity. You know, here we're still, you know, thinking about short-term fixed income opportunities. So, you know, how do we get, you know, the family offices and, you know, the corporates, and you're, you know, I'm glad that CMI has a corporate venture opportunity right now. You know, that's amazing because you guys will be an example for the rest of corporates, and that's just amazing. And then the third factor for me, which is important, and I've been lucky enough, is talent. How do you cultivate talent? You know, I've been lucky enough to been surrounded now by my sons, but not only my sons, my associates, which started out with me, and right now they're my partners. And they do all the job, they do all the hard work, and you know, they're risk takers, they have skin in the game. And if we can motivate and we can, you know, make and create that talent, the region is just gonna explode, you know. It's how we prepare those people, and I think that's amazing.
Thank you so much for that optimism. We need that, for sure. So, Ricardo, beyond capital as well, and what else must change here in the region to consistently build more powerful corporations and more successful corporations who develop growth?
So I think that as the startup world evolves here, and I think as a reflection of a greater adoption and greater investments in from VCs and private equity firms, our startups, I think they must be mindful that, you know, these investments come with some compromise. You need to think about governance. You need to think about, you know, being crystal clear about the information that you're going to be providing to your investors. Have a strong governance in place. The other, we were talking about talent. Being ready to scale and keep your culture. I think this is probably the biggest challenge from any startup. As they grow, they mature, they need to have strong governance, strong relationship with investors, and keep a focus on the talent as well. So I'd say we are running out of time.
Someone stole 10 minutes from our schedule. I just want to share that with you, with the audience. But I would like, Gerardo, to give the word to you, because I would like to speak a little bit about the future. And when we think about the next decade, which shifts should we have as a region that could position us in a much better way in the future? And I think it's really important to discuss this.
Yeah, first off, can you hear me? Yeah. Is it working? Thank you. So first, I said backward looking, we haven't delivered on growth, right? But we are, as a firm, very bullish on what's going on as an outlook for the future. We do believe that Latin America should aspire to 3 to 4% growth in the next decades. So very aligned with your vision. I think this is a combination of what are the natural resources we have in Latin America, what are the capabilities we have, and what's going on in the world, right? So if we think about that, first, I think it's not any secret that in the southern part of Latin America, we have 60% of the world reserves of lithium. We have 35% of the total reserves of copper. So we can be a huge part of all the energy transition and those investments, right? But that's on the southern part of Latin America. Closer to this region, as you mentioned, we have a huge advantage of proximity to the US. And you know what's going on in the tariff world and the geopolitics world? We can be really a stronger part of the supply chain of the US. We have some advantages in terms of cost competitiveness in the region. We have time zone that is very aligned with all the US, right? We have an emerging base of digital talent and engineers. So we are in a very good position to serve the US market and become a real part of the supply chain with advanced industries, be it part of the logistics part, the data centers. We also can be a strong service provider, and we have seen a lot of examples, for example, of software development companies that are serving US, that are offshoring services here from Central America, from South America. We have the talent, so we can keep on going on that direction, right? Also, when we think about the infrastructure that you mentioned, and we think more on a local level here, we have one of the highest urbanization rates in the world. So we do need to invest in infrastructure. We need more Sochis, of course.
We're working on it.
And we do need higher investments in infrastructure to improve the quality of life of the people. Well, everybody lives here in Guatemala knows that we really have an urgency on infrastructure, right? So we have those strategic sectors. We have clarity of where the infrastructure should go. Now, we do need institutions to help us. We do need incentives for the investments to flow in that direction. We do need to anticipate the talent that we will need for the new roles of the new economy. The technology is bringing a huge shift, and we do need to prepare that talent base to really capture those opportunities. Thank you.
Definitely.
So thank you very much. After the end of the panel, I would like each of you to share in one word, because we ran out of time, because someone stole 10 minutes for sure.
Somebody stole 10
minutes. Yeah, from our schedule. A big bet for Latin America. In just 2 words or 1 word.
Sorry. So for me, it's about productivity and improving the talent base of our economies.
Is this working now?
It's working.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
I have a little bit more than 1 word. Let me explain. The word is demographic boom, and I think you mentioned it a little bit, but we have to emphasize that in the northern parts of Latin America, we are facing the major opportunity here, because we're growing. The young population is entering into the workforce. We're going to have more than 65% of the population entering and economically active. We have to capture this consumption. I mean, more than 20 million more families entering into the mid space. The middle class income is growing more than 33% in the next decade. So we have a massive growth ahead. If we don't invest strategically to capture that growth, we're going to miss the train. But we're facing a great opportunity for talent retention and for impacting major modernization in our countries. So looking ahead, I feel like northern Latin America is going to be the hub for commerce and for manufacturing. I think we're facing good times.
Thank you very much, Irene, for that perspective. Juan.
I would have to summarize it with long-term thinking and strategic capital allocation.
Amen. I like that.
I agree.
Thank you very much. Ricardo.
I'm going to keep my finance hat. Financial inclusion. That's
amazing.
An amazing opportunity.
Amazing. And I would add corporate venture capital as well. Corporations investing in companies can drive wealth and opportunities for the region. Thank you very much for sharing, for listening. It was great to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.